Welcome back. We are approaching 1 a.m. East Coast time, and we welcome you in again here to America Votes 2016 on Newsmax TV. J.D. Hayworth at the National Anchor Desk. So pleased to welcome in my colleague from up on Capitol Hill in days gone by, the man who defeated Dan Rostenkowski, who at that time was the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. He was described in the press as a giant killer. I just call him my friend, Michael Patrick Flanagan, Newsmax, Washington. Michael P., you are wearing that cap, and we are waiting to see what happens because as it stands right now, the electoral vote is at 254 for Mr. Trump and 215 for Mrs. Clinton.
You know, I think, J.D., the press did a real unkindness or a real disservice to genuine Democrats, to not just, Hillary people or the rah-rah types, the Hollywood whack jobs, but to real live Democrats who were really working for their guy tonight. They didn't have a chance to prepare for this loss, and it's really hitting them hard tonight. They feel like they've been robbed. It's been stolen from them. There's not disappointment among them, those that I've talked to tonight. There's anger. And this is part of the great disservice of the biased media, and it's something that really is awful. Apart from the fact that they've treated us badly, now the folks that they hope to help or would help them with their views are now really left in the lurch. This is not a happy night for everybody, and it should have been a night where we could come together or at least expect a close night for all concerned.
Well, at least we are going to have a meeting of the minds by welcoming in two more of our friends from Newsmax New York. Steve Malzberg, host of the Steve Malzberg Show, weeknights at 7 Eastern, and Bill Tucker from our Newsmax New York location. Both those gents, it's such a great picture on the screen. You've got, now this is, I know you're going to find this tough, Malzberg. You are screen left. Tucker is screen right, and there is Michael Patrick Flanagan smack dab in the middle. So here we are, guys. Here we are, guys, in this holding pattern, waiting to hear about the state I represented, Arizona. That would be 11 electoral votes. If it shows up in the column for Donald Trump, that gets him to 265. So here we are waiting. It's interesting because you know what else is going on, guys? We're getting phone calls. In fact, I'd be remiss, this is an old habit. Malzberg and Tucker, you got to forgive me. Flanagan understands this. You look out for constituents, even when they're not your constituents anymore. Out to Eloy, Arizona, a place I represented 2 decades ago in the Congress. Shelley is on the line at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Hiya, Shelley.
Well, hi, J.D. We sure do miss you out here.
Well, bless you. It's great you're watching, and I appreciate you calling, too.
Oh, I just love Newsmax. I love all you guys. I am thrilled for Trump. I have been flipping through the stations, mainly come back to Newsmax, but I have noticed that ABC and NBC, they're not posting the electorals like you are.
Oh, really?
Right now, they're still showing Trump at 244.
Well, we're keeping track of it. Tell me, Shelley, your friends and neighbors there in Eloy, were they solid for Trump? Was this a close thing? What did you hear from the folks?
Well, no, most of the people I talked to was voting for Hillary.
Really?
But I was vigilant that if you're a Christian and the platform she stands on, you cannot vote for her. And so I had high expectations when I voted this morning. Now, I voted at my precinct, and I did notice something I was surprised about and was very happy to see that there was a Hispanic came in. One lady said she voted early ballot. Another lady, she said I brought her in because she wants to vote, but she doesn't have ID. And luckily, they didn't let her vote.
Well, you gotta play by the rules, right, Shelley? And so you saw that where the poll workers actually followed the law, rather bowing to what is that absurd term, politically correct, that has brought so much trouble to us. Shelley from Eloy, we really appreciate the call. Thanks for checking in tonight, and we continue to await the vote total from Arizona. Let me turn to Bill Tucker now. There's Shelley calling in saying, hey, the poll workers actually followed the law. Somebody showed up, they didn't have their ID, they didn't get to vote. And yet the left was trying to make such a big deal of saying somehow having ID and presenting photo ID is discriminatory. It looks like that argument, I guess they'll try to double down on it. But Bill, I don't think that's going to work anymore.
Well, you know, it's really interesting because here in the Northeast, you can't go in and out of buildings. I can't go visit somebody in another building if I don't have ID. That's not deemed racially discriminatory. That's deemed a requirement if I want to go into the building. So I don't understand, and I really genuinely don't get the argument that somehow requiring some form of ID is wrong in terms of getting people to vote.
Okay, guys, we have another call. I just want to let everybody know that during the little break that I had between segments, I was flipping around, going online, watching. Pennsylvania is 95% done, and Donald Trump has a 49,000 vote lead, last I looked, and there is really, people are saying who know this, know where Hillary could pick up those votes. There's just, everything is basically done for the most part. Even the areas that might have some Democratic votes left, there's not that many to make up that difference. So if Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania, he will be the president of the United States. So I just wanted to get that out there. And I'm sorry, Michael, we're going to another phone call, and I forgot who it was. Rick from Michigan. Hello, Rick. Welcome aboard. Sorry, I forgot your name, sir.
Yeah, Rick from River Rouge, Michigan. Yeah,
all right.
Nice
I
to
was
have
wanting
you
to
on.
say that I think that up here in Michigan, they got it's real close still, and it's anybody's state. But I was worried about like the dead people voting in them. Up here in Detroit, they got a bunch. It seems like a bunch of dead people are going to be voting or something. Like they show this is in Detroit, and they're still fiddling around. It's almost like they're still voting or something.
Well, I don't think they're still voting. You always have to worry about voter fraud, but Michigan is another state that's remained consistently in the column of Donald Trump. If he wins either Michigan or Pennsylvania, he wins the election. And again, to hear the mainstream media and the liberals and the former Clinton people and Obama people, commentators during the break when I was out just flipping around, hear them talk, they're conceding it, basically. They're talking about what a President Trump needs to do, why Hillary didn't win. So believe me, if there was encouragement to come and the Clinton campaign thought, oh, we're going to pick up these votes in Michigan, we're going to pick up these votes in Pennsylvania, we would be hearing about it, but I'm not sensing that or hearing that at all.
Well, gents, let's take a look again at Pennsylvania. Since, Steve, you told us what you were able to see here, it is still tight. It's a percentage point. Donald Trump ahead 49 to 48. And speaking of Pennsylvania, from Lansdowne, Pennsylvania, Tom is on the phone, having called in at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. So, Tom, what's your view from the Keystone State this early Wednesday morning?
We're excited. I'm just so excited that Donald, I didn't even think he had a chance, but we were pushing. I was making videos and getting the word out, and I just love all you guys. Thanks for doing what you do. You're into the truth, which we really appreciate, and come on, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you'd love to see Pennsylvania put Mr. Trump over the top, wouldn't you, Tom?
I promised my friends I'd make it happen, so let's do it.
Well, tell me something about the videos. You said you were making videos. What were you doing? What kind of pro-Trump videos, just to share with friends, or what were you up to?
Well, I'm a businessman, and I have different groups, and I communicate now through YouTube videos, but just yesterday I did my first live Facebook video, and I got a lot of positive feedback, but I got some really, really incredible negative feedback from my old high school buddies from class of '69. But basically, you know, you can't please everybody, but I just say, hey, I just told people where I was coming from. First off, everybody needs to vote. So many people have died for us to have the free.
Okay, so sorry we lost the connection there. I want to just give an update on Michigan. Also, Donald Trump now has a 2% lead, 80,000 vote lead in Michigan. So he's increasing 80% of the vote now in Michigan, and that's another place where they don't believe that Hillary could find the votes to make it up.
We continue to look at this. We've had an experience now where I had to change my microphone, Steve. Happened to you, and had to get more battery power here. But we got it going.
No problem.
I want to go to Bill Tucker for a second to hear what our friend Tom had to say. I think it typifies this kind of grassroots thing. There's Tom making phone calls, going back to his avocation, making videos, still staying in touch with guys from high school. My gracious, the class of 1969, which was a few years ago. I say that as a guy who's going to his 40th high school reunion this weekend. So the years passed, but this kind of, well, there's no other word for it, inspiration that Trump was able to foment in the body politic from people. It's truly grassroots stuff, Bill.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, one of the things that's been interesting, and you heard Tom talk about it, he got a lot of negative feedback from his high school buddies from back in 1969. This has been a very deeply passionate and very deeply divisive election. People have got strong feelings, and it is going to be difficult for people to get through, I think, probably the next week or so. And I want to go back to something that MPF had to say earlier. I do put this at the feet of the media, just as he does. I think if the media had simply come out and been honest, not biased, just been straightforward in its coverage of the issues in the election. Yes, these are two people that most of the country really despised. Yes, these are two people that we wish we had two different choices from, but these are the two people they came down to. And if they had just done their job saying, this is what Mrs. Clinton would like to do, this is what Mr. Trump would like to do, you're going to have to decide between these two people, and just told it like it is, you wouldn't have the hangdog looks that you do see when you go out and you check around on the networks. You wouldn't have a financial market who bought and owned Mrs. Clinton, utterly freaked out of their minds because they put all this money into her, and now it appears she is not going to be their lady in the White House. I think that is what is wrong. We haven't had a media that wants to speak honestly with us and just simply lay the election out and tell the story of two people running for the presidency. Instead, they took a side and they have advocated that side and then said, no, we never did anything like that. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like the media.
You're exactly correct. I like to agree with people when they agree with me, so that always works out really well. But I also want to say that the media, I think, spends too much time covering the horse race and not the quality of the horses. And if we actually had a discussion of, well, here's what Mrs. Clinton, just as was just said, what she wants to do, here's what he wants to do, here's what this group thinks of it, here's what that group thinks of it, here, come bring other competent, intelligent people on, not just a punditry class, to come in and talk about how this will play, or how this will get them votes, or how this will cost them votes. Forget the horse race question. Talk about the issue and let people make up their own minds and cover the horse race as an aside. But the horse race sells soap, and the issues don't. Well, and that's kind of what we got here with infotainment.
Well, of course, tonight we got to cover the horse race because we're counting the votes.
Yeah.
And let me update everybody.
Tonight's different.
Tonight's different. This is the night where we tabulate the votes, MPF. Let me point out, first of all, Hillary Clinton has been projected the winner in Maine tonight. That takes this electoral count 254 for Mr. Trump, 218 for Mrs. Clinton. But check out what's going on in Michigan. It appears Donald Trump has expanded his lead a bit, now 2 percentage points, 48 to 46%. And as I monitor the state I used to represent in Congress, Arizona, it appears that Mr. Trump has about a 4-point margin in the Grand Canyon state. Steve Malzberg, not quite a chasm there, but given some of these other razor-thin margins, it might as well be the size of the Grand Canyon, metaphorically speaking.
Absolutely. And Arizona, don't forget, is another state that the media told us, and the arrogant Clinton campaign told us that they were going to turn, they were going to win, they were going to make it blue. And, like I said, along with Texas and Georgia, because, Donald Trump hates everybody in those states and they hate him and blah, blah, blah. And, I'm really shocked, guys. I'm really shocked that on a night where Hillary Clinton brought forth the divider-in-chief, Barack Obama, his wife, Michelle Obama, and more importantly, on the last night, had Lady Gaga, Stevie Wonder, James Taylor, and Bruce Springsteen, and still in all, it appears she's going to lose. How could you have that kind of star power and not be convinced to vote for Hillary Clinton? I'm just shocked.
Well, I guess it was her record rather than the records, what we used to call what we listened to back in the day. Hey, let's go to the phones at 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629, out to Amarillo, Texas, where Ryan is on the line. Hiya, Ryan.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine, thanks. Give us your take from there deep in the heart of Texas.
Well, I'm a millennial, technically. I'm 23 years old, and I grew up, with Bush under the administration. I was always, as a president, you just looked up to Bush, and I don't know, just having Obama under the radar there, it's just kind of a little different. But I'm really anxious to make this country great again. I was in the Air Force for 3.5 years and got out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do with the military more than anything.
Well, God bless you for your service in the Air Force, and now you've left the service as a veteran. What's next for you, Ryan? Going back to school, going to work? What are you doing now in Amarillo?
I'm actually going to be getting my pilot license starting here in January, so I'm going to get my private pilot license and then go from there.
Well, good luck to you, and as they say, the sky is the limit. And Ryan, again, we really appreciate your service and where you stand in this electoral parade as a millennial. Thanks for calling in, and thanks for your input. Michael Patrick Flanagan, we heard him talk about a contrast between George W. Bush and Barack Obama. I had my disagreements with George W. Bush, but Barack Obama, and I ask you this, Michael P., since you are one of the Chicago guys, here is an Alinskyite who is trying to get an Alinskyite to succeed him. Of course, Saul Alinsky, there in Chicago writing rules for radicals. It appears that plan has been, barring a few more electoral votes, radically turned on its ear early this morning, this Wednesday in November. What is it about Barack Obama? Did he ever graduate past, they call them community organizers, but I think that's a nice way to say street agitators? He's never really changed, has he, throughout his presidency?
He was raised by hippies who, frankly, have brought him into a world without a driving principle. You and I were raised with religion. You and I were raised with patriotism. You and I were raised with a whole different bag of foundational blocks upon which we built our life. His blocks are very different. The end justifies the means. My way or the highway, I know best. You need to do it like I need to do it. And because I spend my life in public service, I deserve to be rewarded for that, and I deserve to be treated special. Because I am special, because I actually believe I'm a breed apart. And the Alinsky stuff feeds that. And it tells you, well, you want to run, essentially an ideological totalitarian state, which is what the Alinsky movement is toward. It doesn't matter if you steal an election, as long as in the end you wind up in charge, because you're a better person. And as long as you're a better person and you stole in the election, well, that's okay. And so you wind up with these sort of Chicago rules for elections where if you hedge a little bit, that's all right, as long as the right thing happens in the end. And sadly, the machine Democrats, the people who think that way, who are by no stretch of the imagination a majority of the Democratic Party, I'm not painting the Democratic Party with this, but I'm saying that those guys co-opted the legitimate left and said, you want to win some elections? This is how we're going to do it. And at some point, the legitimate left shrugged and said, okay. And so they sold their souls to win a few elections, and now the price comes home because nobody trusts and believes anybody anymore. And we wind up with people who say one thing and do another, who lie, who cheat, who steal, and who run our government and believe they should by right. And this is what this election is about. This is the anger in the Trump voter, and this is the confusion in the Democratic voter today. They don't. This is why these two are not going to meet quickly.
And you know,
Trump
Michael,
has a hard way to go.
Yeah, time is catching up on us here, but when we come back, the whole specter of the street agitator stepping in now with recounts certain places. All the talk was Trump wouldn't accept this verdict. What about Mrs. Clinton? That's something to be seen. And when, in fact, will the verdict come down? When will Trump reach 270 votes? Stay with us. We're coming back.